it says rotate the stream and landscape, but I don't know if that works so well. It says rotate device. It keeps saying rotate device. Okay, so this is my first, I don't know which way to look. Anyways, this is my first YouTube video. My first YouTube live. We have been vigiling from Savannah, Georgia to Atlanta, Georgia. We started, I don't know if you can see, we've been hauling around this mobile memorial garden. Right there. We've been hauling it around. We started in Wilmington, Delaware, and we built this mobile memorial garden called the Walk of Love Mobile Memorial Garden. And we started pulling it from Wilmington, Delaware, which is where we built it, and then we brought it down to Savannah, Georgia. I'm actually gonna go outside, because, like I said, this is the first YouTube video. So, in 2008, the wagon that you see inside of there, I pushed from Savannah, Georgia to Atlanta, Georgia. It's a 1,000-foot climb, 250 miles, 120+ degrees heat sometimes on the black tarp. And, oh, that's awful sounding. And so, now, we have made it to Atlanta because we were retracing the steps, and we did live vigil videos, and you can find them on the YouTube here, and we're still transferring some of the ones because we did it on Facebook Live, so we're still transferring some of those over from Facebook onto the YouTube. So yeah, so we did hi babe. Babe and I, we have been going from county to county, city to city, community to community between here, or I should say between Savannah and Atlanta, memorializing those who have survived traumatic violations. And by traumatic violations, we define that as anyone who has endured sexual abuse, domestic violence, childhood maltreatment, verbal abuse, physical abuse, spiritual or ritual abuse, elder abuse. What have I missed, babe? I don't think I missed anything. But if you've had your will usurped, oh, I can't put my hand there. This is different on YouTube Live. If you've had your will usurped, and it has demoralized your self-worth and your value as a human being, then you have endured traumatic violation. If it has left you with post-traumatic stress, it may have left you with complex post-traumatic stress, depending on how long you endured, and how many violation types you endured. Many people endure more than one type of traumatic violation. So we memorialized and we honored the lives of those who are living and those who are departed. This month is April, and we remember those who have been, who have departed and who are struggling through child abuse and neglect, and also sexual abuse. So originally in 2008, I did it in honor of my sister, Heather, who did not survive our childhood circumstances of abuse and neglect, sexual assault, and domestic violence. So in her memory, to give her a legacy and to give our voice, to honor the love that we shared and to give that love a voice, I pushed that wagon 250 miles. I was in the early stages of my own restoration at the time. So while I was encouraging others to get on the road, other survivors to get on the road through restoration, I too was literally on the road through restoration. So every day, I always say that every step was like a day in my life. So since then, I have been living with fibromyalgia, and so I wasn't able to push again. But what I did do was pull. So I put Goldie, who's the golden wagon that I pushed, on this flatbed trailer that we converted into a mobile memorial garden, and we planted plants inside. I don't know if you can see those. You can see them in there. The tulips are growing and such. And I can show you back here all the flowers. We have some amazing roses. I don't know if you can see them in there. Some amazing roses and tulips and daffodils. Let's see, this rose is just amazing. I don't know if I can reach my hand in there. Oh, I can't, but the door is locked. Let me see if I can get in there. Ugh. Nope, can't get my arm in there right now. But when we stop again to do some of our Atlanta vigils, we're doing this virally. So this is kind of like the first relay viral vigiling that we've been doing. So wherever you are, we will be hitting Sandy Springs, Marietta, Dunwoody. We're over here now on the Indian Springs side, Stone Mountain, Georgia, where I used to live. I lived here in Atlanta, and I was in the throes of my struggling survival mode, and I lived a life that was not authentic to who I wanted to become. And you know, I struggle with my own mental illness from having been through years and years of compounding traumatic violation, and having endured just some horrific experiences. And by the time I moved here to Atlanta in 1998, I gave birth to my son, indicator where it's great, right? He's amazing. He now goes to Florida State University, and you know, it seems like a lifetime ago. But when you really work on your restoration and you really work on trying to repurpose your life from devastation, it does seem like lifetimes ago. It seems like many moons ago, almost another person ago. So that being said, I was here in Stone Mountain, Georgia once, and then in 2007, I was here again. And then I moved to Savannah, Georgia in I was here in 2006 to 2007. I moved it to Savannah, Georgia, and then I did the Walk of Love in 2008. I just felt like we had to have been bred for something more than some of the devastations that we were in, and I needed to do something that was kind of like my Moses on the mountain moment, for real. I needed there to be a line in the sand that made a distinction between the life I had lived and the life I wanted to live. And it was not cut and dry. It was not, okay, I come back from that and everything is healed and perfect. Like, I had to work for my restoration, and it's a lifelong process. It just gets easier because I'm committed and dedicated to applying the values and the principles and the life skills that help me recover and help me restore from a life of devastation and trauma and living beyond the trauma. So anyways, this was my first YouTube video, 8 minutes in, so I'm like, you know, already at my time limit, right? I guess you're allowed to talk for like 20 hours. I won't do that. But we are going to go ahead and begin doing our evening vigils. So the idea is, like you have seen in the other posts, or you might have seen, or you would like to see in the other posts, we go from one community to the next, and we pray for those, and you can pray along according to your own faith. And we just say a universal blessing for those who are currently struggling from traumatic violations, or who may have lost a loved one and may be grieving from the loss of a loved one, who may have endured any of the traumatic violation types. Why we include them all is because we all suffer the same causalities. Abuse is abuse. It has the same ramifications, the consequences, the medical consequences, the socioeconomic depression, the emotional and social depression. Like, all of these things are really interrelated. I always say it's not the ammunition that is used to do the damage, because that's a type, right? You could use a knife, you could use a gun, you could use what else could you use? You could use anything, right? You could use anything as a weapon to hurt somebody, but the pain that comes afterwards, pretty much they're the same. If you cut somebody with a knife, no one really cares on the type of knife that was used. unless you're trying to find the criminal. The fact of the matter is you bled, right? You bled, and there was injury, and there was trauma, and there was repair, and what's the depth of that? Was it superficial? Was it deep? How far did it go? Did it cut arteries? Did it cut nerves? And you begin to think about all of the extensive healing that needs to happen based on how deep the wounds were. So even though traumatic violation has a lot of invisible, like you can't always see it, sometimes you can. There are women and men who are battered, who get bruised, children who get bruised, people who stalk other people and burn them, pour acid on them, all kinds of horrible things. And then there are physical signs, but still, even then, you wouldn't necessarily know how that happened unless you asked. So we wear our trauma uniquely to the type of violation that happened and how severe it was. So it's very important for us to be conscious of the fact that as a whole, as a collective, with every traumatic violation type added together, instead of, just separating us and saying, oh, you survived this and you survived that. Like, I survived many of them, and so no one chose one for me. I didn't just get one, there were many. And so if you add us all together, we are a third of the population. A third. That means we have a voice. Like, we have a representation that doesn't need to be devalued. Okay, so we have a presence here, and it's time for us to come together collectively and say, we really are more alike than we are different, and it is time for us to really get into the roots of restoration for us as a whole, as a society, because it definitely impacts our economic growth, our economic health, our economic welfare, our social, our family, our society, especially now that we're online. We shouldn't be saying everybody has a story. Like, that's horrible that everybody has a trauma story. That's horrible. You shouldn't know that many people with a traumatic violation story. That means that we've already tipped the scales of norm. And that's dangerous. It's dangerous when traumatic violation becomes normal, because then you become going down a road where you have more mental health issues. You have even more issues with dependency. You have even more issues with addiction and various types of addictions. And while that might feed the economy, it does not feed the family. Okay? And really, we need to be protecting the family units. So, oh my gosh, it still says live. How do I fix that?
Shut your phone off.
No, I don't think that's how it works.
You want to end now, just turn your phone off.
There should be like an end button. How do I unlive? How do I unlive? Let's see. Comment. Share, enable flash, mute microphone. Is that it? Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yes!